In this video, I will tell you what to expect from university and what not to expect. So if you're studying at university or if that's your goal, I recommend watching it. See clearly what awaits you after you graduate. The reason why I prepared this video, especially towards the last year of high school, most families and young people who will go to university, even those who are already studying, see university as a must. In other words, there is a perception that if you do not go as soon as you finish high school, you will become a garbage man. This perception began to break all over the world. For example, companies such as Apple and Google have already removed the requirement to find a university degree. In other words, you do not need to be a university graduate to work in these companies. So you have time, especially if you're in your 20s right now. Calm down. First of all, most of us go to university for no reason. I'm talking about this. I will go to university when I finish high school, just as we go to primary school when I'm 7 years old. And most of us do not question why exactly we do this. In fact, most of us don't even question our department too much, because our goal is to graduate and find a good job and a well-paying job. Now, let's explain this subject. Studying a university is completely unnecessary if your purpose in life is not to get a profession that requires a diploma such as being a doctor, teacher, or lawyer, because we need university graduates only to be able to do such professions. Unless your goal is to become a worker, your main goal is to earn a lot of money and you think the only way to do it is to graduate and get a good job in quotes, university is useless. Now I will also explain why it is unnecessary. If our goal is to make a lot of money and you are not a football player or a famous artist, your only way is to become an entrepreneur. What is entrepreneurship? It is a person who does not do the work of others to make money, starts his own business, produces new ideas, creates new opportunities, and turns these opportunities into money. Because when you're a worker, you get a monthly salary, and you make your boss rich. Because your boss gives you a salary from the amount he earns in a way he sees fit. 95% of people who receive a monthly salary also have money problems. Therefore, if you want to start your own business, use your potential to the fullest. Instead of being a worker for the rest of your life, university is unnecessary. Now let's see what awaits us at the university. The education you will receive in 4 years at the university can actually be given in less than 2 years. Most of what you learned in the first 2 years, you forget in the last years anyway. Most of the 4 years you will study in total is to fill your brain with memorization until the exams. When the exams are over, it is spent emptying most of what we have memorized and making room for the New Year's memorization. And you will see a lot of unnecessary lessons to fill these 4 years. For example, what do you think a language teaching student has to do with the history of literature of that language? It has nothing to do with language teaching. It does not teach the history and literature of the language. However, unfortunately, most university departments are designed to fill gaps. It will not contribute anything to your profession. There are many such courses, and all of these courses, as we mentioned, were put in order to fill these 4 long years. Even vocational training at the university does not prepare you for life conditions. For example, in the Department of Business Administration, you get training from a teacher who knows only the theory of the subject, who has never started a business, who is a worker, working with a monthly salary. From someone who hasn't started his own business, getting business startup training from a worker, how much does it make sense? I'll leave it to you. After graduation, you go into business like a fish out of water. And life does not turn out as it was told in college. What you learn in theory is very different from practice. This is, for example, a business student. Let's put someone who has been in the field for 4 years, who has established a business, gained experience and learned, next to a business graduate. Which do you think is more advanced? Of course we know the answer. Most knowledge taught in universities is outdated. Books placed in universities, the curriculum is at least 10 years old. And they cannot keep up with today's dynamic world. Of course, I'm not talking about a physics or math book. Since these are not dynamic, it doesn't matter if they are 50 years old. However, as you noticed, when I say dynamic information, I am talking about information that will be useful to you outside after you graduate. So even if it's a miracle and your syllabus is completely renewed, after 4 years, all that you have learned is almost obsolete. That's why you see most of you ignorant people who have studied at the university, and the ignorant people who have not studied at the university and improved themselves. While the world changes from one year to the next, you run the exam marathon of this curriculum, which was written for the next 4 years and will not change at all. by memorizing books written 10 years ago. University costs a lot of time and money. This is very important. When you start university, you will probably apply for a scholarship loan. Frankly, if you're not starving, the government won't lend you money. It gives you a loan that you will have to repay. You pay this loan 5 times to 10 times after graduation. In other words, in your life that you started as zero, you start with approximately $75,000 to $125,000 of debt. Do not forget that you have invested 4 years of your life here. Of course, if you attend the preparatory school, if you cannot complete your courses and extend the university in 1 year, this will increase to 5 years and 6 years. And your debt and loss of time increase. Let's say you did not study preparation and gave our lessons fully. So again, 4 years of time and $100,000 in debt. What you get, 1 graduation only. At least half of what you learn is useless information that you will either forget or use in no way. The other half is information that can be learned very easily without the necessity of studying at a university. And we haven't touched on education like master's, doctorate, etc. And we haven't taken into account private university fees. If you're studying for secondary education, they're pocket money. And even when you've come all this way, you've only finished your undergraduate education. So you are at the lowest level of a 4-year university graduate. You don't have a PhD, you don't have a master's degree. So let's say you are a teacher, you can only teach in primary or high school. Let's stop for a minute and think about what you can do with the most optimistic calculations, 4 years of time and $100,000. What can you learn in 4 years? How much can you improve yourself? And especially if your goal of going to college is not to be a worker but to make a lot of money and financial freedom. University is not a magic key that opens every door you click. Now you have to think about it first. There are thousands and thousands of people who graduated from the department you graduated from, so there is an abundance of middle school graduates. You get your diploma and jump into real life like a fish out of water. You have never applied the training you have received in real conditions. But the business world demands experience from you. Your experience is naturally zero. That's why you have to learn how things work in real life almost as long as you go to college. And you have to gain experience. Because, someone who has just graduated and zero experience, it is generally useless for the business world. And this is why experience is required in recruitment. Well, what to do? Of course, I'm not saying that the university is completely unnecessary. I'm not even saying that you shouldn't go to college. But with blinders, as most people do today, only university is indispensable. If you look at this as a magic key, and if your entire focus is to get good grades in college, without improving yourself in any area, opportunities will pass by you. Never forget this. There is nothing the university can teach you that you cannot learn on your own. What we teach at the university, we all have a sense of belonging to the university. And this is not true. In fact, you can learn much more comprehensive and up-to-date information yourself. So where? The very simple internet. The internet has made universities and libraries unnecessary. If you are currently in your 20s or even younger, give yourself a few years during your university education or before you study. You have time. Take it easy. Get to know yourself well during this time. Clearly define what you want to do. So don't think that the college train will take me exactly where I want to go. If you do not want to be a worker, you can try to start your own business instead of being one of tens of thousands of university graduates every year. You can always finish college. However, there isn't always a time when we have as few responsibilities as the age of 20, when you can try whatever you have in mind. And when these responsibilities start, you can't try the ideas in your mind, you can't do the things you want to do. And you can't bring these ideas to life. When you graduate from college and get old at the end of your long working life, when you retire, I wish I'd looked back and tried. Not to say, give yourself the opportunity. Give credit to the energy and time you have. See you in the next video. Take care of yourselves.